Oh, the games people play now, every night and every day now, never meaning what they say now, and never saying what they mean, for the wild away hours in their ivory towers.
Our freedom walk with the two US Veterans for Peace, that's Ken Myers, you might recall, and Tarek Kauf, continues. We have now reached Crusheen. But the big news today is that over in New York at 10 o'clock this morning, the granddaughter of Ken, Zadie, and the partner of Tarek, Ellen, went by arrangement to the Irish consulate, where they handed in a letter addressed to Varadkar, that fella I believe is the Taoiseach, and his Minister for Injustice, Charlie Flanagan. And in that letter they call for the two to be allowed to return home until their trial in the Dublin courts. We now go over to New York.
Good morning. We're here at the Irish Consulate in New York City with Zadie Barnard Myers, who is going to deliver a letter about her grandfather, Ken Myers, who is being held in Ireland along with my husband, Tarek Kauf. They have been held there for 6 months now without their passports because of an arrest on a minor charge while they were trying to bring out the fact that U.S. military planes go through Ireland daily, violating Irish neutrality. So Zadie is going to read the letter for us.
Dear Taoiseach Varadkar and Minister Flanagan, my name is Zadie Barnard Myers and I am 22 years old. I am seeking your help to have my grandfather, Ken Myers, who is also known as Pops and is 82 years old, and his colleague and fellow member of the U.S. Veterans for Peace, Tarek Kauf, aged 77, returned home to our families as soon as possible. As former members of the U.S. Armed Forces, they know the futility of war. For that reason, they went onto the airfield at Shannon Airport on St. Patrick's Day to inspect a U.S. military-contracted Omni Air International flight, which they believed was carrying soldiers and weapons en route to war in the Middle East. They are now on bail and have been refused the right to return home until their trial, which could be 3 years from now. Before being found guilty of any crime, this is a harsh punishment for two elderly men who, recognizing the horrors of war, only seek peace in the world. The prosecution's insistence for holding Pops and Tarek is untenable. They and their loved ones here in the U.S. simply want them to have the same rights and conditions as Irish citizens who have carried out a similar peace action. An Irish person would have the right to be with their families and the right to travel abroad. Denying Tarek and Pops these rights puts them in the position of being virtually held hostage. The prosecution in this case has expressed the fear that they will fail to return for their trial. This is not credible. Their trial is an essential part of their peaceful political action on St. Patrick's Day. They both believe war is the crime, and they welcome the opportunity in the Irish courts to show that is the case by proving their innocence. I am conscious that in Ireland there is a separation of powers between states and court. My family is not seeking you to infringe that doctrine. However, the prosecution in this case represents the interests of the Irish state, and therefore you, as Taoiseach and Minister for Justice, could ask the prosecution to lift their opposition to allowing Pops and Tarek to return home until their trial. It is not a big ask. We simply want them home, and we guarantee they will return for their trial. Sincerely, Zadie Barnard Myers.